Memorial Day is fast approaching. While many of us are looking for ways to honor those who have served, for years, Operation Motorsport has been diligently taking action to help veterans in a unique and surprisingly effective manner. The sport of auto racing continues to prove itself to be an excellent tool in many people's lives. So today we'll be helping OPMO raise funds for their fantastic cause as we get ready to watch the Honoring Heroes Operation Motorsport Benefit Race live here on Podium Esports. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is DJ Clark and Rachel Whiteford. Cameron Aubernon is on social media, along with Josh Lee producing, who is using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sebring is a great place to kick off this two-race stint. Let's head to our track guide to see what this sports car haven has to offer. Welcome to Sebring International Raceway. Home to the 12 Hours of Sebring, one of the most grueling tests in endurance racing, this is a track which has earned a fearsome reputation among drivers. The circuit itself is located on the southeastern edge of the city of Sebring, Florida, and was built out of Hendricks Army Airfield shortly after World War II. 3 layouts are currently in use, ranging from 1.7 to 3.7 miles in length. The longest course, which is perhaps the most well-known with it being the one used for the famed endurance race, shockingly still contains portions of the original airfield surface. It's this aspect which has become a signature feature of the track, making it extremely bumpy for racing. Sunset Bend in particular nearly shakes cars apart while they attempt to navigate the high-speed 180-degree corner. As you'd expect for the side of an airfield, there's nearly no elevation change over the course of a lap, but many of the curves are dramatically tall and unforgiving, daring drivers to glance them yet not hit them directly. Thankfully, places to pass are plentiful, including spots like the Hairpin and Cunningham. However, the many fast, sweeping turns creates a dilemma for car setup, since a vehicle that's made too stiff could wind up bottoming out on the onerous bumps. In the end, if you have the wherewithal to withstand the track's rough nature, you're likely to fare well. And since Florida fans almost always show up in huge numbers to witness this test of car and driver, you'll have plenty to impress at this legendary North American road course. Well, DJ, this should be fun with these LMP ones and the GTE cars, which have both raced here, but what are we expecting out of these two Porsches?
Well, Joe, we're going to expect a little bit of traffic conundrums as they go around. There's specifically some areas in the second sector here going up through Bishop and into Cunningham that you really don't want to be running into other cars, as that's going to be an area where it's very, very difficult to pass. But the main overtaking opportunities, we've seen some moves both in the GTEs and in the LMP ones, going down into turn 1, going down into the hairpin, and then maybe chucking it into Sunset at the end of the lap. The best thing for these LMP1s, though, they're going to hope to be able to get by on the long straightaways around here, out of Gurney Bend, out of Sunset, and out of Le Mans. They do not want to be catching these GTEs in the other parts of the lap, otherwise it's going to be a very, very hairy overtake, and that's going to be something we're going to be talking about over the course of this 60-minute race.
It should prove a bit tricky in places, no doubt. Now, some of you might be wondering, what is Operation Motorsport? Well, Operation Motorsport is a veteran-led and operated nonprofit based in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Brighton, Ontario. It serves American and Canadian service members and veterans and was founded on the basis of 3 simple words: excite, engage, and empower. Through motorsports opportunities, it engages medically retired or retired veterans affected by military service looking to aid in their recovery. You can sponsor the next Operation Motorsport event coming up on August 14th at Le Mans by making a donation at charity.pledgeit.org/race4heroes. And it's not just these 2 races that are involved with Operation Motorsport. Rachel, I understand you get to work with them on their regular series.
Yeah, I absolutely do. Operation Motorsport themselves have a series which we here on Podium cover. The next season starts in August, and what's special about this is that the Operation Motorsport, like PCA, came to iRacing during the last couple of years' fun times, and they discovered it's a fantastic place to engage more veterans that might not have been able to access their services. And the fun thing about it is you have a pro class, you have a supporter class where current and serving personnel and supporters of Operation Motorsport can race as well. but there's a beneficiary class where the people that Operation Motorsport is there to help are on track racing, and we get to cover that series here at Podium. It is phenomenal. You get to see the veterans themselves being helped by Operation Motorsport, getting out there, having fun, engaging, being part of a team, and really having a blast. And it is a fantastic series. The guys there are so much fun. We have a little informal inter-service rivalry championship going on there as well between the different military branches. Spoiler alert, Space Force always loses, but it's a ton of fun. The series is fantastic. The racing is super fun, really tight and competitive, and it is a blast. And you can watch it, you can help support them, you can help support Operation Motorsport. You can do that here as well with the PCA's events. They've always been very tight with this organization, and it is a great charity sport.
I love what they're doing. And again, if you're looking to help out, that is charity.pledgeit.org/race4heroes. And looking forward to seeing how this plays out here today with about, looks like roughly 25 cars, which are in the midst of qualifying right now. But thankfully, it is solo qualifying with the mixed classes out there. And DJ, it looks like Kaholic, no surprise there, is up at the top of that LMP1 class. Sean Murphy down in the GTE cars currently has that over Travis Brody, which to me tells me that Sean is pretty fast, because we know Travis is no slouch.
Well, but look at that gap in between those two there, Joe. Only about a tenth and a half down in that GTE class. Kaholic here holding off about a 4/10 of advantage up ahead in the LMP1 field. Not exactly surprising. We have seen the driver of that 17 machine be absolutely electric over the course of the PCA series.
And just as you were talking about that gap, it came down to 0.03 of a second between Brody and Murphy. Now, they only get 3 laps, and both of them are on their last one. So they'll have to boogie on this one to try and get that pole of their class. Well, they're going to have to fight a third party for it. Looks like Chris Pies just set a quick one, about a tenth and a half quicker than Sean Murphy. So now it is a 3-horse race.
Yeah, Pies is no slow coach himself. He is definitely one of those fast drivers in the GT cars. He will have to get his gear on here. It's a good benchmark right now. It could be that last dip lap that goes in. We don't even really know if Murphy or Brody are perhaps prepared for that lap. Maybe they're giving us everything. Maybe they've actually put their fastest one in, and this is just a insurance lap. So it's hard to tell.
Certainly is, as we see Robert Rose going to try and knock off Kaholic, who has exited the car. Third lap, though, is not going to be faster for the 4.43. That one's probably going to be definitely a case of you get that one flyer, because one thing that I think is going to be tricky, especially with this open setup version, DJ, is these LMP1s have all the hybrid doodads and things to fiddle with.
Yeah, they do indeed. That Porsche boost that we often talk about going to be deployed. We're going to see a little bit of, I think, strategy coming into play on exactly where you want to deploy that, how you want to deploy that, et cetera, as we watch here the 200 of Sean Murphy, seeing if he's able to go a little bit better.
He's crossing the line on that third lap, and it's not quicker, unfortunately. It looks like Brody just wrecked off the final corner, so he's not going to be able to improve. And Rachel, this leaves Christopher Pies, who already has the pole, able to take his third and final flyer with nobody within, gosh, it looks like more than half a second of him.
Yeah, I think with the way these setups have worked, that second lap is your fastest. I don't think he'll improve here, but it's a little bit of practice right before they go into the race that will be important. And, you know, he might have beaten them out in qualifying, but Murphy and Brody are incredibly quick here. That'll be something you really want to keep an eye on. And I think we're going to have a really close race amongst this. With the speed difference with the GT cars and the prototypes, I think it's going to become a real tactical race down in the GT field.
And it looks like it was quicker for Pies by a couple more tenths. So now he's almost 5 tenths ahead of Sean Murphy. Robert Rose, who has already completed his 3 laps, is taking that practice, and in fact, practicing the pit in. And it looks like he's going to hit those marks well. So let's see, is there anybody else that is able to continue here, DJ? I'm trying to see if we have anybody on that third flyer, since we've got those 10 minutes pretty much over here soon.
Yeah, I think the only driver that we haven't seen put that third lap in is Logan Grotto. It does look like he's trying to improve a little bit there, but I'm not sure if he's going to get it in time. Indeed, he does. He's going to be able to bump his way up to 5th in class, immediately knocked down, though, by Jacob Schoen and Rodney Campbell.
Yeah, so he'll stay in the 6th position regardless. And I think that is going to be it, with not enough time to complete that last flyer for the rest of the cars out on the circuit, including whoever this is coming through the hairpin and spinning off just now. Clearly they are done with their queue. So we'll wait for this to switch over, and then we're going to be going through the grid here this evening. And up at the top of our 24-car field here, it is going to be Michael Koholik, who is on the pole. Robert Rose will be in 2nd place. Then you've got Chris Braun in the 3rd position. Gregory Sampson will be P4, and Leif Peterson will be 5th. After that, you've got Jay Dennis on the outside of the 3rd row. Then it's Ed Nelson, followed by Rick Reinsberg in 8th. Joseph Stiefel will start from 9th, and it's David Purdy rounding out the top 10. Last 2 of the LMP1s is Steve Komatz in 11th, and Andrew Hillman failed to set a lap time. DJ, what's the GTEs look like?
Well, it's going to be Christopher Pies lining up in pole position with Sean Murphy and Travis Brody behind him. Rodney Campbell making up 4th place on that grid. Jacob Schum will be lining up in 5th, followed by Logan Grotto and James Franznik, with Daniel Rubel and Thomas Briggs rounding out the 20 cars in the field.
All right. So, and there you see De Silva, Ramirez, and Harrison also gridding up here today. Without a lap, though, for Brandon Harrison. So, a few of them starting at the back as the pace car is already on its way, getting ready to lead them off. This is a 1-hour race. We can expect at least a pit stop for the LMP1s, but the GTEs will be a question mark on if they can make it without stopping. We'll be covering that a lot and seeing who's saving and who's sprinting to the end. There goes the Porsche pace car, and Koholik has control of the field. Green flag is out. Not the greatest of starts, and in fact, he's already being beaten by Rose down into the first corner. Starts to come back at him as he's starting to employ a bit of that battery. As he accelerates into the first turn, he's going to get the lead back, and it looks like the LMP1s are clean through. DJ, how's the GTEs?
Well, back in that GTE field, we are underway here with Chris Pies being able to hold off onto the lead. Travis Brody a little ways back. We got a car flying off into the distance. I believe that's Antonio De Silva.
It is indeed, and unfortunately that is a bad start for him. Looks like Sean Murphy has started from pit lane, and Jacob Schum is also off in turn 3. So a few drivers not having the best go at things here in the first lap, Rachel, but for the LMP1s it's been a little bit smoother.
Different race for the LMP1s. They're really pushing it through here, just coming out of Old Hairpin and rushing up here through Fangio onwards towards this second sector here of the lap, and it's very tight, very controlled, very clean here amongst these guys. They've got a very different race. These cars react a little differently to Sebring, although with them being a lot stiffer, they will be bumped around a lot more. But they can just push faster through these twisting sections. It makes it much, much more aggressive.
David Purdy had a problem and is spun and turned around back in the Collier section. That's very narrow, and the GTEs are coming through, so he's going to have to stay put. But we watch Koholik down the Ullman straight with Robert Rose hot on his heels. Looks like, DJ, they're gapping Chris Braun by a little bit, about 1.1 seconds, so not drastic, but he's going to want to get a move on.
Yeah, he's going to want to try to close up there a little bit, because as we talked about, you are going to have to make a pit stop here in these LMP1s, and I do think fuel saving could be a little bit of a strategy to employ. Robert Rose particularly sitting in a very good spot to be able to sip a little bit of fuel behind Koholik, maybe not push too hard and just see what he can take in.
Looks like Leif Peterson just got by Gregory Sampson, so that's a position up from where he started. In fact, a battle behind them as well, as Jay Dennis also going to overtake on Gregory Sampson. So something not right with that 91, as he either got caught off guard or the car isn't handling how he likes, Rachel.
No, something wrong for that car, unfortunately. I think maybe it's something that will come in later in the race for him. It's going to be hard to tell. But right now, not in a position he would definitely want to be in. You want a car that maybe grows to you, but you also don't want it to fight you before it gets to that point.
Dennis took another look, tried to get a spot on Peterson, but was not able to get it down into the hairpin. Braking coming into Cunningham. He manages to get side by side, but he doesn't get the job done. He leaves himself vulnerable, almost contact. In fact, they did come together. Dennis catches the car, and he is all over the place here in this second lap.
Yeah, that car looking very, very wobbly here, Joe, almost on the border of out of control. I've got to give credit to Jay Dennis, though. That contact between himself and Sampson coming down at high speeds, being able to control it there, good move for him. Now, this is the area of the track where they're not going to be able to get a lot of passing done. You just want to set yourself up for Le Mans, try to get a good run down the Ullman Straight.
Looks like they've got themselves some buffer. Peterson especially is pulled away from Dennis and Sampson, so that finally calms down for a brief moment. Sampson's still not done with things, though. He's now being chased by Joseph Stiffel here, Rachel, and I really am curious what is going on with that car, because now Joseph has a good run down the front stretch.
Yeah, he really does. It's going to be tricky to find out. I'm sure we'll find out later in the race, but that car really isn't performing the way it should be at this stage. Not sure if it was a little bit of light contact. Maybe it's damaged his aero here, but this is unusual. Considering he would have practically qualified with this and he did better, this doesn't feel right. Something must have happened to this car.
Oh, and Joe unfortunately went down instead of up. He just got passed by Nelson. As, Lee Peterson is also trying to make a pass. Here on screen, you can see to the inside, the white car. No, it's Jay Dennis trying to make a pass on him, and Jay Dennis is just streaking through the field. He gets it done, and Peterson falls to 5th.
Yeah, Peterson falling down here a little bit. Jay Dennis just in an absolute rocket ship. Now, he's going to have a little bit to catch up here. He's got about 3.5 seconds or so to catch in on Chris Brown up ahead of him, but that is not out of the question with the speed that we've seen out of that 707.
Indeed, and I know we've been focusing a lot on these LMP1s, but we got good battles in the GTEs. Thomas Briggs and Rodney Campbell down in 4th and 5th, having some side-by-side action heading through 5 and into Big Bend. Great exit from the 62, Rachel. And now Thomas Briggs starts to see a couple cars in his mirrors as well.
Yeah, he does. As Rubel, Harrison, Fransnick looking for something to do here. And they definitely want his place in the field. This will push them to the top half of that GT field, which should be a big move for them. Set them up for later in this race. And as you see, that rather fun livery down the 95 machine. Love seeing that. Well, it's actually not the 95 machine, which is unfortunately doesn't correlate with the car number, but hey, it's a famous one. Oh, getting in tight there, coming through Cunningham. Not quite the rim you would have liked, but hey, pass the pass.
Yeah, just about got his nose in, but Briggs was not able to overtake on Campbell behind them. Daniel Rubel trying to see if he can get within attacking range on that bright red machine, but no dice out of tower. That's Brandon Harrison. And then also James Fransnick is starting to close up a fair bit of his own. Right on board with Rubel through Jean Debian and up into Le Mans onto the main Ullman Straight, the back stretch here. Who's got the good exit? Doesn't seem like anybody really got that great of one. And we won't just be seeing the corner of Le Mans, because the next race that they're going to be doing, DJ, is going to be at the actual Le Mans.
Yes, indeed. It is a little bit of a poke out there from behind, but not going to do anything about it. It looks like, I believe that was Harrison trying to come from behind. A little bit more of a run. Brandon Harrison looking very, very aggressive there in the number 2. I think he's going to try to have a move around the outside of turn 1.
Yeah, defense from Rubel, but then he comes back to the racing line. Brandon thought about it, but he gets back to the racing line himself. Good exit off the corner, all the way off into the grass, and he somehow keeps it from spinning out, gets it back onto the pavement, and doesn't lose the position, although he slips up, hitting the curb. Brandon is full of vigor today here, Rachel.
Yeah, you want to be spicy to race, but that's normally towards the end, not right at the start here. We're 7 minutes in, and he's already giving it the beans. Let's just hope he doesn't give it the beans and weenies, because I mean, I love that, but it's a bit too early for that.
It is indeed. Another little defense there from the red number 4 of Thomas Briggs, but didn't seem like Rubel actually managed to make an attempt on him, so maybe he didn't need to quite defend that time into the hairpin. Breaking into Cunningham, they start to separate for the first time in a while, especially Rodney Campbell, who looks like he's got the legs on that quartet.
Yeah, Campbell certainly does. He's starting to stretch his legs, as you said, pulling away there a little bit in that 62 at the front of the field. But in these GTE cars, we've seen them as there you see Briggs getting a little bit off into the grass. These GTE cars are not necessarily what these drivers are used to driving. They do have traction control. They do have ABS as opposed to the 992 Cup cars, but they have more horsepower, Joe, and that makes them a little bit harder to control, and we're seeing that here out of these drivers.
And look at this. Brody has actually been within about 0.4 of a second a little bit earlier in this lap. It's back up to 7, but he's chasing down Chris Pies. In fact, I'm going to check and see what the lap times are both this time and last time. Last time a 57.4 versus a 56.7, so huge gain for Brody. This time 56.5 for Pies, 56.7 for Brody. So it was a little bit slower, but not by a whole lot. The 020 car is making sure that Chris cannot take his eyes off his mirror, Rachel.
Yeah, certainly not. Chris is really having to keep himself in full gear. Oh, one of our... That's not Jay Dennis there. One of the P1 cars, LMP1 cars, sorry, had an issue. Oh, in final corner, so he lost it in Sunset. That's rough for him as we go through here. But yeah, no, Brody is going to be keeping Pies, very honest. Brody is very aggressive when it comes to passing. We'll have to see what he can do. Pies will be very careful.
That incident with Dennis is worth a replay. We need to take a look at this. Some contact made between himself and Chris Braun, who, remember, we said he needed to try and play catch-up, as looks like you're going to battle down into the hairpin. This is between Braun and Peterson. So I wonder if there's some damage with the contact that Braun had. It was a light touch to the right rear of the car. I'd be surprised if it was enough, but it allowed Leaf to catch up and then overtake. Here it is. We're on the nose. There's the contact, and unfortunately for Dennis, it was not able to be collected up before he speared off into the barrier. So that's why Dennis has had to take a visit into pit lane.
Well, and Joe, in regards to that damage, you know, these LMP1s, they are incredibly aero-sensitive. So even if it is just a minor bit of contact, I wouldn't be surprised if that is hurting him a little bit. Through the twisty bits, the diffusers on the end of the cars, they sort of look like the rear tire guards, let's call them, as they come off the back of the car. There is a lot of aero channeling that is happening through there. So if there's just a single channel that's a little bit deformed, it can really, really mess with you.
Oh, and there you see flashing into Sunset Bend. That was a battle. Oh, no. And we had two cars into the wall. Brandon Harrison and an LMP1. I couldn't quite make out who it was. So more incidents into Sunset Bend. Trying to figure out who that... no, it was another GTE. Excuse me. It wasn't an LMP1. It was Daniel Rubel. So that was one of our battling cars, Rachel, just moments ago. And we got a spinner coming into the first corner. This is Brandon Harrison yet again.
You know, we have to take those big red lights off the top of the trackside cameras that say which one is currently broadcasting live, because everyone's trying to perform for the cameras here, unfortunately. No, I think we just assumed it would be an LMP1 that would have hit that car because, let's be honest, in multi-class racing is usually a conflict between classes. But that's not to say it can't happen in this way. I think Sunset is proving to be a real catch-out for these guys at the moment. I'm not sure what it is about it, but all classes seem to be struggling there.
I've seen it catch out a lot of drivers before, but DJ, I suspect this is the fact that those LMP1s are so fast through there. I don't think there's any saving it. Speaking of which, no saving that one for Harrison, who finds himself falling to 8th as he lets Ramirez go by. But yeah, DJ, I got to think that if the car goes on you, I mean, you're just basically on a one-way trip.
Yeah, these LMP1s, they are not very easily catchable. When you get into this high level of prototype racing, we are dealing with cars that need to be pointed the right way, and if you get them a little bit sideways, frankly, what happens is that the air is not running over the correct channel. Whoa, that was a late maneuver going down into those final couple of corners. My goodness.
Oh, and it comes out with contact Stiffel with Reinsberg, who gets spun around through Le Mans. Thankfully, nobody coming behind him. He's going to wait patiently as actually somebody spins. Transnick just had a little one that I think maybe James was caught out himself as he approached the scene of the incident, maybe saw some yellow flags and didn't know what was happening. A little bit of weaving there, Rachel. Wonder if he's trying to see if there's anything wrong with the car, is Rick.
Yeah, most likely to try to feel it out, see if the car is behaving the way you'd expect. And, you know, you talk about damage to an aero surface on these LMP1s, and frankly, there's no unnecessary surface on this car. Everything that's there is there for a reason. You damage anything, and you're going to be in a very differently handled vehicle. As we've got Stiffel here running with Kovacs behind him. Kovacs trying to find his way to get through here. Kovacs up 3 spots so far. Movement already for him. Now Stiffel, he's down 2.
Indeed, and he's got a car approaching from behind very fast. That is Komatz. And Gregory Sampson as well, as they go around Travis Brody, who's still in second in those GTEs and easily blowing by. I wonder if Joe got a little bit of damage being run into the side. I'm trying to remember where the battery is in this car, because I do know one of the LMP ones has it in the side pod, and if it's hit, it can affect the pace, and it does look like Joe is a little bit off pace right now, DJ.
I believe that the side pods do contain the batteries here for these Porsche 919, so that is probably what Joe is suffering from here a little bit. In that battery deployment, think of it a little bit like the old KERS system, as, goes off there again. Think of it like the old KERS system in Formula One. It's basically just a boost of horsepower that you're able to get putting through the wheels.
Indeed, it gives them quite a bit. And we saw Joe then have a little bit of an excursion through Jean Dembien, making his own line. Have to give some time back in the process. I got to imagine he's going to be pitting in this time. No, he is not. So he's going to try and carry on and get to the pit stop window, which should be just about the halfway mark for these LMP1s. Maybe a little bit beyond that. I think they can go about 35 minutes at most circuits, even though this is a bit of a longer lap. Now he's catching back up, so maybe he's got this more under control. As Rachel, he's approaching Gregory Sampson once again. Komatz leads the trio.
Yeah, he does, and Komatz is in a good spot here. Sampson, we'll see how that one shakes out. It's going to be kind of a dogfight here. These guys are on top of each other. This is not much of a gap in cars that go this quickly, especially around the corners. So we'll have to see how they can pace it through here. A little bit of dirt kicked up. They're getting a little bit more aggressive here. You can tell they're pushing. 210. Or 200, I should say there. No, it was right with the 210, I think. Yep, Steve Komatz pushing as hard as he can here. 91 behind him. Trying to give this everything he can. Trying to keep themselves moving, but Komatz looks like he might be slipping.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a look from Sampson, but I don't think he was quite close enough. We might want to head over to Jacob Schum, because he's got Ramirez under attack as they go through Big Bend. He's going to have to go the long way around, given just about a car swift down into the braking zone. But Ramirez goes shallow suddenly and compromises his entry. Schum is easily through. He's now up into 8th place.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of experience there for Schum, playing out over a little bit of inexperience for Ramirez. You see him trying to pinch a little bit to the outside and then immediately diving to the inside. In that narrow of a line there, Joe, just as you said, that put Ramirez at a massive disadvantage.
Man, he is easily putting Chris behind him. It's already a second between. Schum now trying to chase down Brandon Harrison. So the 2-car has got to be checking his mirrors. We just had an overtake for 4th as Braun got passed by Ed Nelson. And we think that Braun might be experiencing a little bit of damage on that 258 car. So something to consider. I don't know if we mentioned it. Jay Dennis is back out after taking a spare car. They do have a spare car if they need it, and they find themselves getting damage out here today. Obviously, it'll compromise you if you have to be into the pits when it's not scheduled. We come back once again to Komatz and Sampson, still in the same order they were before here, Rachel. But man, I got to give Greg credit. He is making a fight out of this.
Yeah, he really is. Greg is pushing here, and I'm loving to see what these guys are putting on. They're definitely putting this one in as hard as they can here. Sampson's been really aggressive. He's been behind. He's really up there as well.
Joe is not giving up on this. We thought he maybe had a little bit of battery damage or something, but either he's learned how to mitigate the problems with it, or he didn't really have the damage because he's holding on to the back. Oh, and Sampson is slow. Did he get a bit of a slowdown penalty, or is that Joe unleashing the battery power of that Porsche 919? And he is easily passed, coming down the main straight now. Both of them catching up to Komatz, and instead it's going to switch around. 2 positions gained in one straight for Gregory Sampson, and then try to go around the outside. It looks like Joe Stiffel is going to be able to move into 7th. I lost count, DJ, of how many passes that was in just about 2 corners.
As did I, Joe. It was just one after the other there. Some absolutely incredible and heads-up driving from all 3 of this trio.
So it looks like the batteries can be extremely useful here today, and we're going to see another one potentially as, well, Joe almost managed to get by, but then ran out of road before they got into the braking of turn 7. He's still close enough as we hop on board with Joe, the Chicago region driver, weaves it around the outside of Harrison, who looks like he's slow. Not sure what happened to him, although he's had his share of adventures already today. And finally starting to put some distance in. Looks like Sampson has got it under control now, Rachel.
Yeah, Sampson stabilized things here, which is going to be helping a lot. Stifel, there's gaps widened here between him and the Chicago driver, so let's have to be careful to try and make sure he's getting the right gains rather than pushing the car too hard. But again, we're approaching 20 minutes in, and they're still battling this hard. This is a phenomenally close race right now. We're also hearing that Leif Peterson is getting pretty close right now to Robert Rowe. But Kaholic, he's gone. Sunset Bend, he's run off into the sunset.
Peterson was getting close. Now he's getting farther away because he's past Robert Rose. So the 913 has taken another one. And can he catch on Kaholic? You're right. That distance to the leader is monstrous already. We're only, about 20 minutes into this race, and he's got a 17-second gap at this stage. So Leif is going to have to really get a fire lit under him if he wants to try and challenge the 17.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, that 17-second gap is, well, Joe, frankly, it's almost unheard of at this point with as big as it is as we focus back in on that battle we were following a little bit earlier. This driver's coming a little bit closer together.
Yep, back to the fight we were watching before here between Sampson and Stifel. So Joseph trying to make up for some contact a little bit earlier, dropping a few spots and then quickly gathered himself up. They've got a little more traffic in front of them now. That's Murphy and De Silva in a fight and going completely off the track, just about spinning off the course. Sean Murphy lets it go a little too generously.
Yeah, perhaps a bit much to throw in there, but hey, it will work, of course, as these guys still going for this thing, and my gosh, really pushing this thing in as hard as they can. A gap, though, in the GT field, nowhere quite the same as this one. Pius is being kept a little more honest, but Brody is still... That's not what you want to see.
I was going to say, I don't think that's the racing line. That was Chris Ramirez, who's still in 8th, and he's now spun across the track. There you can see in the background as we watch this battle down into Sunset Bend. Calamity Corner so far in this race. Sampson holding off Joe Stifel and onto the main straight. He gets a great exit, DJ. That's going to keep him out of arm's reach.
Yeah, that's going to keep him out of attack range here from Joe Stifel. Stifel just needs to try to focus in here a little bit, try to gain up. He's taking a narrower line there through turn 1, just seeing if he can gain in a little bit. It looks like he's got this first sector a little bit better, but now they're going to come up on Jacob Schum here. Some lap traffic. Hopefully going to be able to catch him right here out of Big Bend. It looks like they are.
So Schum doing the right thing, just kind of staying out of the way. There's a good run from Joe. Joe's going to look down to the inside, but he doesn't have enough boost in it. And Sampson will retain that 6th spot. That's the wild thing here, Rachel, is this is for 6th place. And they've been fighting like this is for the win with a lap to go.
Yeah, we're seeing this throughout the field. There's some pretty great races happening here. And yeah, this is towards the bottom end of our prototype field. That's how nuts this is. They're going for this thing. And we're seeing the same thing down in GT as well. We've got some fights with Schum, we mentioned earlier, Franznik, Brody, Pies. We've got Murphy, I think, and Harrison have been doing some stuff. Purdy's trying to come back up, of course, after his unplanned stop, but he's well out of the order here.
This has been so close. It's ebbed back and forward a little bit here with the gap opening and then closing back down. So they fly down the Ullman straight as the 003. Yes, he does have some boost underneath him. Look at that. Made it look like he was standing still. Now he's going to try and clear him and maybe put some traffic between. Ooh, thankfully, Franznik was heads up on that, DJ.
Yeah, you heard my little noise of exasperation there. That definitely scared me a little bit, and I can't imagine what Sampson felt behind the wheel of the car. He's going to have a little bit of a fight back, though.
Just uses it right back, sees if he can boost on by on the 003, but no, he cannot get the move done. And guarding a little bit down into turn 3, looks like Joe will retain that 6th spot for now. I'm kind of amazed that they're able to do all this, Rachel, because not only are they having to weave through that traffic, but utilizing the battery energy in these cars. I mean, professionals get confused on this. I can't imagine these guys trying to hop into them and try to tackle it as they go side by side again.
Oh, absolutely. It's a management thing, and using it in a fight is fantastic, but strategically deploying it as well for speed is important. And just be careful you don't do it around a poor GT car, otherwise they could get very nervous. But yeah, it's a huge. Look how wild this racing is. These cars are on a twisty track like this, which really has street circuit vibes, is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's Ed Nelson that is being chased by Robert Rose. So Rob's lost another spot then, because he was in 3rd before. Checking to see how recent. Oh, this was on this past lap. Yeah, it was coming out of Tower. Doesn't look like it was anything special, just another boost pass from Ed Nelson to manage to overtake before they got into Bishop. But he's been making good use on it, as he's already put about 1.5 seconds on Rose. Meanwhile, we come back to Sampson and Stiffel, and looks like a more lap traffic now. This is Logan Grotto. He's going to try his best to hold station and be predictable, and just squeaking around the outside. Sampson eventually finds an opening, DJ.
Yeah, both of those cars, you can really see the incredible amounts of downforce that these LMP1s generate, just how far they're able to take the line out to the outside. They're coming around Sunset. It looks like the cars flying around Indy almost with how close they're getting.
Ooh, big slide there from Sampson. So he's going to lose a little ground on Joe this time. He was approaching pretty quickly, so a bit sad that he threw it away there. He could have had a good fight into the hairpin, but it's not to be this time by. We should be, I believe, getting within the pit window. We've got 35 minutes left to go now. So do we dare see anybody pit in? Well, speak of the devil, I see Rick Reinsberg in pit lane right now, Rachel.
Yeah, Reinsberg in there. He's down towards the back end of your prototype field, but getting his service here, the Texas driver looks to be taking fuel and tires, I think. We're seeing tires probably from these LMP1 cars. They will consume them very quickly.
So Kaholik, wow, up to 22 seconds now. Well, we asked the question if Leaf could run him down. That's kind of looking like a no right now. But as we've seen, there is a lot of unpredictability in this race with these two classes trying to navigate one another. So we get another driver now down on pit lane, and that is Robert Rose coming in, DJ. Wonder if he also got a little bit of damage of some sort.
Well, we saw there with that previous pitter, the car kind of pop back into place, and that's an indication that he's taking the faster pair there. So let's keep an eye here on Rose as he comes to a stop in the box for that 4-4-3. We'll be able to tell very, very easily. Oh, he missed his stall. There he comes in. Yep, you see that little pop on the headlights? That means he took a spare car.
Yep, thankfully for him, a Rose by any other name is going to work just as well out on the track. So as he gets that damage repaired and some fuel put in the car, not sure if he's going to be taking tires. I doubt he is. And this, it looks like Komats is now dealing with Jay Dennis. Now, we know that Dennis is on a bit of an off strategy since he's going to have to take another pit stop here. So this battle, if I was Steve, Rachel, I don't think I'd fight it too hard.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't really fight it too hard either. Oh, well, I guess he didn't. No, he chose the racks to the grass approach, which is often a viable strategy, just not in race cars. But, yeah, no, he's not going to get away. But I think the biggest thing we underestimated here so far, guys, is the difference in speed between these prototypes. My gosh, that's the race leader. Behave. That's the class leader. Don't do it. No, bad prototype. Don't. Okay, he was fairly safe there, but that only highlights my point. We dramatically underestimated the speed difference between the prototypes and these GT cars. My gosh, we thought maybe they'll wait for the straights. Nah, no way, Jose. They're good wherever they want to because the difference is huge.
Especially in those high-speed corners. These LMP1s often compared to Formula One in terms of downforce that they offer.
They're faster.
Yeah, it's honestly just unbelievable what they're able to do. Meanwhile, this is a battle for third with Grotto ahead of Campbell. I saw a little bit of smoke off to the side. Not sure who that was for. We'll try and investigate that a little bit later. The 62 gaining in the slipstream on Grotto, but he doesn't have enough of it. Will either of them elect to pit this time, or are they fuel saving? It's going to be somewhere in the range of about 57 to 58 minutes that they can go, which obviously, DJ, is just shy. So it's possible to do it without stopping. The question is whether it's quicker.
Yeah, that's going to be the real trick here. And we were talking a little bit before the broadcast started about how iRacing has recently fixed some of the fuel map problems, so that actually coming in and using those fuel maps does allow you now to really save some fuel as you run around. So I could be definitely thinking we're going to see some drivers be doing that.
Carrying on, this fight is going to get overtaken by Koholik. And let's see if we have any action coming into the hairpin. If not, we might have a chance to have a short commercial break here. Oh, this is a bad exit. We got to stick around because Grotto is being chased by Campbell down into Cunningham, and he could maybe take this podium spot. And into the corner, a good defense down to the inside from Grotto will hold him back for the time being. That gives us a great opportunity to watch this video about Operation Motorsports. Let's take a quick look at that.
On Remembrance Veterans Day weekend, November 2022, Operation Motorsport is returning to Anglesey Circuit, Wales, United Kingdom to compete in the 12-hour Race of Remembrance. This event allows our beneficiaries to compete as a team, shoulder to shoulder, with other veterans and racers. We want to use this opportunity to honor your hero's service. And for a $25 donation, we will place your hero's name on the hood of our race car. 100% of the donations received will be used to support our Race of Remembrance operation. Help us honor 500 heroes and donate today.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn them. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
Obviously, a huge thank you to Operation Motorsports for all that they do, as well to our veterans and service members for everything that they've done for us and our safety. Meanwhile, you're looking at Michael Koholik here, who has now got a 28-second lead, and Leif Peterson doesn't seem to be able to run him down. He's just been bleeding time bit after bit. And DJ, you and I have seen this before as well in these multi-class series, that it seems like a big part of that speed is not just the handling of the car, but the handling of the traffic.
Yeah, exactly, Joe. And, you know, we like to throw the phrase around, the traffic giveth and the traffic taketh away. But if you're a driver like Michael Koholik here and you just have a way to scythe your way through the traffic, that is just going to help that advantage that you have that is now almost 30 seconds. It's just going to help it continue to grow and to continue to grow and to continue to grow.
Campbell's been trying to shrink the gap to Logan Grado, but despite a couple attempts at taking the position, none of them have stuck. So remaining on the podium spot, the number 9 has been running clean, running smooth. Just got to watch out for those buzzing LMP1s flying by like this, who's going to split them at least for the time being. That's Ed Nelson. And this is one of the rare cases, Rachel, of a patient LMP1.
Yeah, here we see the patient LMP1 car. Quite a rare species these days. They don't exist. They've been mostly hunted out of extinction by their overly excited cousins, the dramatic LMP1 car, who absolutely must get somewhere incredibly fast right now.
I didn't know David Attenborough had a daughter. That was uncanny. As we watch the pair of them come down into Cunningham Corner. Yeah, it does look like Logan has been a bit farther away for the time being, DJ. I wonder if Rodney maybe has used up his stuff trying to get up behind that number 9.
Yeah, it's certainly a distinct possibility here. I mean, you know, we talk about tire wear around this track. It's very flat surface, so there's not a lot of camber to help you around the corners. And so it does take a lot of tire life out as that got a little bit hairy with that LMP1.
That was Chris Braun, who was definitely cutting a bit of the track off there. Kind of surprised he doesn't have some sort of slowdown. No, he does have a slowdown penalty, which I'm guessing he's going to be serving here on the straight, where it's nice and safe and everybody can see what's happening. And it looks like he's got that cleared and he's back on his way. Someone's going to have to do his supercut after this is over of all the times we've made weird noises this race of the traffic trying to navigate one another. Still, Logan keeps it at about half a second. And I see Rick Reinsberg in for a second time. I'm not sure what that is about. Not sure if maybe he did not get the fuel right or what, but we're still waiting for the rest of our drivers to pit in. And it's getting towards the end of the window. I'm a bit surprised they've made it this far, Rachel.
I think there's some fuel map running here we're seeing, but I think there's also an element if you're running with somebody else, you can save a lot in traffic and still be very fast. Don't forget they're also, of course, using the hybrid recovery system, so they can push this towards the end of the window, really. I think that is going to be the strategy call. Go as long as you can, then hit for the shortest amount of fuel, quicker stop.
That's a good point. They could be trying to get tricky out there, using those batteries as much as they can. And out through the hairpin, Logan's dealing with this pressure quite magnificently. Impressed with how he's been unfazed by Rodney poking his nose and remaining very close to him for quite a few laps here. As they head past Cunningham now. Sun's starting to get a little bit lower. We should see it reach, I believe, about 7 p.m. virtual standard time here in Sebring pretty soon. And they will see a pretty low in the sky sun, but probably not nighttime before this race is over. That was Joe Stiffel just passing the pair of them briefly before he let them be. And back onto the back stretch, DJ. Will Rodney get a slipstream? Not looking close enough to me.
I mean, he's certainly going to be able to get a little bit of a slipstream here, maybe do a little bit of fuel saving as we've got some LMP1s streaking by, but he's not going to be close enough to get the move. Now, what he can maybe do here is use that LMP1 a little bit as a pick, see if that can throw off Grotto a little bit. Tries to go for a little bit of an over-under style move there, and it doesn't look like it worked out.
It did not. It was Braun that pitted in. So he's getting his fuel and will be back out. Right now, Jay Dennis has pitted, but he'll need to come in again as he pitted way too early due to damage. And Robert Rose was in a few laps ago. And Braun's actually going to get passed by Robert by multiple seconds. It was much slower for the 258. Now he's returning to the track. Oh, and our leader is pitting, Rachel. Looks like Kaholik has hit the end of his pit window.
Yeah, he has. He's coming on in now for a pit stop and allows him to cool off those tyres because, my gosh, he's been going quickly today. That Great Plains region drive, I guess, must be used to driving for a very long time in just going fast because not a lot out there in the Great Plains, but nails his pit box perfectly there, as you'd expect. In that service on the car. We didn't see that nice blink here, so he's not replacing the car. It's not a strategic thing here to perhaps get a slightly quicker start or to perhaps even repair any incidental damage from the track, because we do know that can also happen. Back to the strange noise library there as more LMP ADHD goes on.
And Sampson and Dennis this time are the ones fighting. We might want to try and grab a replay a little later of Rodney Campbell, who has left the battle with Logan due to a mistake coming out of turn 5. Unfortunately, he did catch the wall, and Dennis is going to be catching Sampson quite easily down the Ullman Straight and is now passed. It looks like Dennis, as we mentioned, does need to pit again. He's going to stay out while Sampson is coming in.
And Joe, looking at that car for Sampson, there's a little bit of a deformation on the rear wing as well as that rear shark fin on the car. So he'll come in, probably use his free repair here if he can.
Yeah, gotta imagine this thing's gonna pop back into position. Highest driver to have pitted naturally is Koholik. He's back out in second place as somebody in our GTE classes returning to the circuit. That's Ramirez, it looks like, who's now got his pit stop done. And Sampson is having an average stop of about 15 seconds. He gets back out on the track. On screen here, we've got the likes of Chris Braun overtaking Logan Grotto. That's, again, cars just lapping one another. Chris currently sitting in the 7th position with 11 seconds to make up to get to Robert Rose, who we believe is able to get to the finish from here, Rachel.
Yeah, very much so. I think they can.
And I think, oh, we got more pit stops. Peterson and Nelson pitting in. I think we've got a chance now as well to take a glance at the replay for Campbell and see what happened to him just before Big Bend. You can see he's still very close right here, and oh, the curb maybe, DJ? It was hard to tell from that angle.
Yeah, it looked a little bit like that right side of the car got up onto the curb, and he maybe just tried to put the pedal down. Yep, that's exactly what it was. He tried to put too much throttle down while up onto that curb. And with these rear engine, rear wheel drive Porsches, you do that, you spin the rear tires, and that is a death knell.
I think that is everybody now having taken their pit stop, barring Jay Dennis's second one in the 707, so he's up to third. And has been doing a good job of trying to make up time, but he's going to have to give a lot of it back. This is Joe Stiffel here in the 003, finishing up his stop. Where is this going to put him, though, is the question. You should have that spare car on after he had a little contact earlier on. There's your leader now, Michael Koholik, who is one of 8 of the LMP1s that are on the lead lap currently with 20 minutes left to go as he flies down the back stretch just ahead of Jacob Schum in the background there. Well, with pretty much all of our LMP1s having taken their stops, I think we can safely go through our midway field reports. And let's start out with Michael, of course, here on your screen. He has put it on the pole, has basically not looked back since the wave of the green, just been putting distance between himself and his rivals this entire time. Leif Peterson is the one in second place, up 3 positions for that number 913 car, and has been doing a good job making passes. Has not been completely clean during this race as the blue and orange 913 car, but he's been handling it quite well. It's just unfortunately he doesn't have the pace to give us a race for the lead. In third, you've got Jay Dennis in the 707. As we mentioned, we believe he's going to need another stop because of having to take a pit stop very early due to some damage. Sent himself into the wall in Sunset Bend, and that really just kind of defined his whole day. After that, it's Ed Nelson, who sits in the 4th position in the 959 car. And Ed Nelson is also up 3. In fact, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are all up 3 positions. Some of that, I believe, due to other drivers' misfortunes more than anything, though there have been plenty of passes to watch out there today. From there, it's Robert Rose sitting in 5th position, who is about 4 seconds behind Ed Nelson. Not impossible for him to try to catch up to him. Robert started on the front row, and it's kind of been going worse and worse for him ever since. Mysteriously, dropped a lot of spots very early in this race, but we still haven't quite answered the question as to why that happened. Chris Braun is currently in the 6th spot. Also quite a gap to make up here for Chris. He's got 12 seconds to try and catch up the Rose, but Chris has been quick at times during the race. Question is, can he avoid the mistakes dealing with traffic that many of the drivers have fallen victim to? Joseph Stiffel is sitting in the 7th position, and he's coming into Cunningham Corner. Even bigger gap for him at 14 seconds behind. Started in 9th, actually still up 2 spots, so a net gain for him. Can't complain too much about that, DJ, but that's our top 7. What do the next 7 look like out on track?
Well, behind Joe Stifel, it is going to be Gregory Sampson. We've seen him be in the wars out there today, only about 2.2 seconds behind Stifel right now. So the 91 doing a pretty good job to try to close down, and he has got a big gap up behind him with Steve Komatz currently running in 9th place right now. The 210 about 34 seconds behind Gregory Sampson, the Rocky Mountain region driver. He started in 11th, and he is running in 9th, so a good little improvement there for him. Behind Komatz in 10th place in class is going to be Rick Reisenberg, who is currently looking like he is down pit lane right now. He started 8th, obviously having some repairs done on the car as we speak, so he is going to be down pit lane. We then jump over to the leaders and of the GTE field, and up front it is Googly Eyes Chris Pies leading the way by about 10 seconds up there, the Lone Star region driver. Remember, he started in 12th place and was able to actually gain up a couple of positions here as they go. Behind him, about 11 seconds back, runs Travis Brody in 12th place. Brody doing a good job here in the 020 to be able to keep going around right now, doing a fantastic job to be able to keep everything up. Behind Brody right now, who is that off right there? Is that the number 9 with Logan Grotto potentially, who is running around behind? Excuse me, that was Brody that had the off there. My bad. So a little bit of commentator's curse there to Travis Brody. I apologize. As we jump back to Logan Grotto, who runs in 13th, a little bit closer now to Travis Brody, only about 9-10 seconds there for the number 9. And then rounding out your top 14, it is James Franznick in the number 39. He runs about 20 seconds back of Logan Grotto, and that'll round out your top 14, Rachel.
Certainly will. 15th place is Rodney Campbell. He's currently running up 1 position from where he started in 16th place. Not a huge jump, but it's something indeed. As behind him, we will see Thomas Briggs. Briggs up from 21st. He's up 5 spots so far to that 16th place. Made a good run with this one tonight. In the 56 car, we have Jacob Schum. He's 17th. He started in 17th. One of the few drivers in this race that has maintained other than Kaholik up at the front. So he's in his starting spot. Down 4 from where he started is Sean Murphy in 18th. He started 14th in the 200, and it's just been going downhill a little bit so far with some bad luck. Behind them in the 24 car, it is Antonio Da Silva up from 22nd. He's got a gain of 3 there. He's currently scored a lap down from his class leader, but he's still pushing this thing along. Down in 20th is Chris Ramirez. He's up 3 spots from 23rd. Currently also running a lap down from the class leader in a 311 car. Behind them it is Dave Purdy. He's down from 10th. It's been a rough day from him. He's of course one of the LMP class cars, unfortunately for him. But there you go. And 22nd overall is going to be from 24th place. That is Brandon Harrison now, unfortunately. Harrison down a couple of spots where he began in the 2 car. And it's Daniel Rubel, last of our cars running here. Down from 20th, unfortunately, up to 3. He's currently off the track, actually, and so is Mike Nyden and Andrew Hillman.
Yeah, Harrison has been in pit lane as well for about 10 minutes, and we saw Thomas Briggs exiting pit lane. Kind of had to come in because we caught a flash of it on screen. We've got a replay here of the 4 and the 62 making contact down into Cunningham. Big contact between them. Is a little bit loss of control, and unfortunately Lightning McQueen got struck and got sent off into the grass after having that slight spin on entry. So that's why he had to come in and take his spare cars back out in 6th. Campbell down to 5th. That day has not been going very well at all for him. Oh, and I think we just, that's on screen, a pass for 7th. Sampson going by Stifel, DJ.
Yeah, Gregory Sampson being able to get that move done after the pit stops, and that's going to promote him up into 7th position. Just a little bit of a brave maneuver going down through turn 2.
Sampson trying to gain some of those spots back that he lost before. He's still down 3 from where he began this event. We're down to the last 13 minutes, though. And that is not going to be a lot of time to make up what is a 14-second gap to Chris Braun. So best of luck to him on that one. But you never know. It's been a wild race here at Sebring for the Honoring Heroes Operation Motorsports benefit race. as they come out of the Collier and Tower section, now heading into the very swift double left-hander of Bishop. Just keeping him honest, keeping right on top of Sampson. He may have lost the position. Oh, something happened to Jay Dennis. Oh, excuse me. No, Jay Dennis is finally pitting his second time, so I completely forgot, DJ.
Yeah, indeed. He had to come back in. Remember, taking that damage early on and getting that spare car that looks like that's going to deposit him in about 6th or 7th place, I think.
So pretty good recovery there from the 707 car. And yes, he will wind up in 6th place after that final stop. Now can try and go to the end from here. And he's within range of Chris Braun, so he could get a top 5 still in this race. As down through the first corner, Sampson and Stiffel. Oh, going deep there. Gregory is, well, not as deep apparently as Chris Ramirez, who we just saw off track out of turn 3. Sampson somehow holds on to 7th.
Yeah, it does indeed. Just this has been getting very busy towards this latter part of the race. Looking at approaching 10 minutes to go, just under 12 in fact right now. But oh gosh, these guys have not been easing up this entire race long. This has been exhausting for what these guys have been putting on here. This has been absolutely phenomenal racing, and we're still seeing this absolute nail-biting passing of these LMP guys. Oh, off goes a GT car. That is unfortunate timing for him, but now these guys are still pushing through so quickly here. The class leaders lapping traffic like crazy. He's got 30 seconds over Leif Peterson, and the gap between him and Dennis has changed so much. Dennis is going backwards here, but Dennis is going all the way down in running order. Not sure what happened to him there, but he lost a couple of spots this last lap by Rose, Nelson, and Peterson all got past him.
Dennis up to 5th, past Chris Braun. His fresh car on there, and all the speed that he could ask for has allowed him to at least crack into the top 5, but 20 seconds to make up to Robert Rose. That seems unlikely with only 10 minutes left on the clock in this race. So this should be more about probably managing things and getting to the end of this event. You know, it kind of reminds me a bit of the Camel GT series, DJ, with both the difference in the speed between the classes and the franticness of it. This has got to be mentally exhausting dealing with this for a full hour.
Exactly, Joe, and both for the LMP1 drivers and the GTE drivers. I mean, obviously the LMP1s are dealing with these high speeds as we got a little bit of a pass going down here.
Trying it into the hairpin. Is he going to be able to get by Sampson? No, Sampson is going to deny him once again. This battle just keeps carrying on and carrying on. But Stiffel, who's got a bit of a slipstream, does he have the battery to try and overtake as well? No, he's going to just get fed out on the way into Cunningham. Sampson remains in that 7th spot. And let's hope that they don't come to blows on this one, because now that the pit stops are done, Rachel, they really can't afford to have damage.
Yeah, no, now would be a really rough time because it counts for an extra pit stop if you've not already used that quick repair or spare car. Sorry, they would really put you in that sort of situation. So you've got to keep it clean from here onwards. It's outside the pit window. This will literally ruin your race.
Going to go by the car of Logan Grotto, still in 3rd. And actually in a much better position than he was before. He was having such a huge battle with the 62 earlier on. The 9 car is kind of in no man's land at this stage, as our 2 battling 7th and 8th place LMP1s fly down the front stretch. And there's that battery. And just blasting past. Joe makes it look easy. Sean Murphy just in front of him. A bit of a poor exit there from Stiffel. And the 003, he knows it. He's going to try and cover off the inside. Oh, and spinning around. It looks like Sampson could not get the car woed up in time. Thankfully did not make any contact, though.
Yeah, he's going to be able to try to get that car back out and around. I don't think there's any damage to the car. Let's go back to check out the replay here, Joe.
And yeah, just caught out, I think, by it wasn't really a late move. It was just trying to make his way through the lapped car and was not expecting it. And Sampson, unfortunately, locked him up. Around it went. And, well, the battle that was within about a couple tenths of each other for many laps has now grown to 13 seconds. That kind of eats up one of our best fights out on the track, unfortunately. We do have Robert Rose here, who's within about a second of Ed Nelson. And maybe Robert has got a better car in the latter half of the race than the first half of the race here, DJ, because it seems like Robert is gaining quite well, and that was Ramirez for the second time this race we've seen off at turn 3 in the background.
Yeah, Ramirez going off there again, and it does look like that he's starting to close in a little bit. He's got the gap to about a second right now on Nelson up ahead of him. 7 minutes to go. I'd say that's certainly closable.
Chris Pies is pitting. So where is second place? Travis Brody is going to keep going. This gets interesting because we weren't sure if drivers could get to the end and anticipated they would have to try and fuel save. Looks like Pies did not do so. The good news for him, though, is that if Travis is saving, DJ, it looks like it's about 6.5 seconds from Chris to Travis. He could probably gain that.
Yeah, I think he could. So let's see how this is going to play itself out here. If Chris is able to just have that outright speed with only 6.5 minutes to go.
This will be fascinating, Rachel, if Travis is trying to stay out, if he is fuel saving, on whether the pace is going to be enough to stay ahead, and also if he can manage to keep enough fuel to get to the finish as well.
I mean, we talked about it at the start that it is plausible that they might. It's unlikely, but plausible. And if he can keep the pace and save enough, he has an opportunity, but I'm not sure. It's worth a try, isn't it?
Oh, that car flying across the screen was David Purdy with a little bit of an off in his 010 car. Thankfully did not hit anybody or anything, and we'll be able to keep running. I do like the paint scheme there on Travis Brody's car, the classic Miller Lights that I believe was on one of the Porsche prototypes in the late 80s instead. It was always one of my particular favorites, just with that sort of gold shimmery scheme. But we now ride on board with the chase for third. Robert Rose has not only closed down, but elicited a mistake out of Ed Nelson and is now going to be right on top of him, DJ.
And he's going to have a little bit of a look in there going down into Bishop. That was a little bit hairy, Joe, but Rose not to be denied. He is pushing.
And he's going to have the spot easily now. Nelson dipping the wheels into the dirt coming off of Tower. Gives it up. Robert Rose now onto the podium. Can Rob get one more spot up and finish where he started? That's going to be a bit of a tough ask. It's 15 seconds up to Leif Peterson. It seems like the 913 and the 17 car, Rachel, have been the class of the field today.
Yeah, they really have. It's been such a fast race by these guys. But, wow, yeah. Now, even though it's a 40-second gap, both of them have been incredible. Kohlik, though, is just a monster. I don't know. Do we need to call Ghostbusters? Yeah, do we need to call the FBI? I don't know. But Kohlik is just in a different planet, different plane of existence. This guy's too fast.
I think we need to call Mulder and Scully because he's an alien. So, yeah. As the 17 has just got unreal pace out there today. It's a little bit more intriguing between the leaders in the GTEs. It looks like Rose is managing this one. I don't think Nelson is coming back into it. So here we see, and Franznik is in. So Franznik is going to give up a couple spots. Is Schoen going to get him? Because he's the next one coming along. It's actually going to be pretty close. There's your leader in the GTEs. And yeah, we need to go back to Franznik. He's coming out directly beside Schoen, and Schoen barely ekes through, DJ.
Barely able to get by there, and that is going to be just narrowly up for him.
Schoen, though, has not pitted. So Franznik, who should have a much more straightforward run to the finish, although he's slow coming off of turn 5. What is happening there from the 39? That was a bit strange. Eventually it's getting up to speed. He's got to try and run down Schoen by about 2 seconds, and he's got the laps to do it, as we still have 3 minutes left here today. So it's not completely unbelievable. And coming into Sunset Bend, this is Ed Nelson still doing what he can to catch back up to Robert Rose, but it looks like that continues to spread apart. So Rachel, I'm half glancing at that battle for the GTE lead every once in a while, and it's down to 3.2 seconds. It was at 6 before.
Maybe he has to save too much. That's too quick a change in time gap for that not to stay the way it is. I think Travis is trying this. He's giving it a go. If he doesn't get it, oh well. But he's got a decent gap for Grado, so this could still play off for a second place. It's just, he was kind of looking at it anyway, so it's a bit of a risk to take, but it could really backfire. But Piers is coming for him, and he has stopped, so Texan has dug the spurs in, and he's going to go for this thing.
I mean, nothing risked, nothing gained. So I give Travis credit for it, because if he winds up where he was, then at least he gave it a try. As this fight between Rose and Nelson has suddenly erupted once again. Not sure what held up Robert, but he got caught very quickly. I think traffic probably was a factor in it. They got a little bit more in front of them. That's Ramirez and our leader Brody from the GTE class, who's going to lap Ramirez and actually go 3 wide. And that was great heads up from the 020, giving plenty of space for Nelson coming through.
Yeah, plenty of good heads up there. I love seeing that from Brody. As you said, he's just kind of trying to salvage here. I think he's in pretty mega fuel save mode as they go.
It's also going to be white flag for our overall leader next time by. Koholik is about halfway through the lap, and we've got less than a lap's worth to go on the clock, so this is going to be it. And looking back, now you can see there is a visual. Oh no, Christopher Pies has, I thought Christopher Pies had lost it. I apologize for shouting at everybody. That was Chris Ramirez spinning off behind him. He was right exactly where Christopher Pies was supposed to be, and that gave me a heart attack. I think I scared Rachel, too.
I think you did. I thought you were talking to DJ there, but no. That's not what you want to see with less than a minute on the clock. Something like that, man. Oh, that would have changed things. But no, Pies has got himself through, I think, here. So he is back to our leader. Brody's Gamble hasn't played. White flag.
Koholik with a 43-second gap. Peterson's got him, I think.
We'll have to see how it plays out, Joe. Keep the audience on the edge of their seat.
Indeed, yeah. In fact, they were going across the closest part of the circuit, I think, on opposite sides between the runs from 2 to 3 and then along Bishop, where they crossed paths there for a brief second. Oh, Ed Nelson just had a problem and went off track. Jake Dennis might be able to catch him up, depending on the damage that the 959 has because of that. So that could be something to watch out for as we watch Koholik break down into Cunningham corner. Christopher Pies has overtaken Brody. Oh, Brody must have pit in. Yes, he did. So Brody did have to take fuel and was not able to make it to that last lap. In fact, he must have been just 1 shy there for him. That is an absolute shame. And Pies is actually going to get an extra lap compared to Brody because he is going to finish ahead of Koholik. There you see Chris now coming through Sunset Bend, so he won't be able to be challenged from here. There is your overall leader as the sun has just about set in Sunset Bend. And the number 17, who is unchallenged here today, has made it look easy. Michael Koholik takes another victory here in PCA as he wins into the Honoring Heroes Operation Motorsport benefit race.
Joe, I don't think you can get a more dominant victory than that. 44 seconds over Leif Peterson there. Absolutely remarkable stuff.
Yeah, Peterson's just now coming into Jean Devienne, and we had, looks like 6 cars left on the lead lap on this one. Not too shabby for an hour race, and especially since we saw the podium change within those last 10 minutes as well. But this, Rachel, is Chris Pies, who can now literally cruise around on this last lap to enjoy his victory lap.
Oh, he really can. And we say 6 cars, but that's 3/4 of the LMP field, so it's been a pretty tight race. But yeah, Chris Pies here, a phenomenal race from him. Strategically balanced, pretty straight at the middle, vanilla strategy, but the speed has proven him correct. Brody tried it, didn't really work, but Murphy, who was up there in qualifying, it really didn't run so well.
Well, you may have called it vanilla, but I mean, why go against the grain if it works? And the 14 made it work today as he beat Brody by a comfortable margin after Travis could not stretch the fuel far enough. That is Chris Braun, last one on the lead lap there in the LMP2s, or LMP1s rather. I'll get it right eventually to finish this race. Chris Pye is now into Sunset Bend, and he finished where he started, on the pole here today in these GTE cars, taking victory here at Sebring. Great stuff from the number 14 driver. That's going to take us to the results of today's event. And Koholik with the victory by an impressive 45 seconds there. Leif Peterson was P2, still had to fight hard himself on this one. Robert Rose as well, who seemed to struggle slightly at the start of the race, bounced back and came to third, although he lost a position from where he began. Jay Dennis was P4 as Ed Nelson was fifth. Then it's Chris Braun in the sixth spot, last one on the lead lap. Joe Stiffel was seventh, and Greg Sampson P8. It was Steve Komatz in ninth. Rounding out the top 10 was Rick Reinsberg, which will take us to the GTEs. DJ?
In those GTEs, it was Chris Pye able to take victory there ahead of Travis Brody. Almost a full lap in between those two when everything was said and done, courtesy of everything the way shifted around. Logan Grotto there in 13th, followed by Rodney Campbell, Jacob Schum, Thomas Briggs, James Frensnick, the last driver there on the lead lap, with Sean Murphy and Antonio De Silva rounding out your top 20.
After that, last runners there are Chris Ramirez, 21st, Brandon Harrison, 22nd, Danny Rubel, 23rd, and Andrew Hillman, 25th.
Well, that was fascinating stuff. We got to remember, this was just the first race of the two. The next one out is going to be August 14th at Le Mans, and that's going to be a longer race. By the way, if you do want to help out and pledge by making a donation to Operation Motorsports, you can go to charity.pledgeit.org/raceforheroes. And definitely encourage everybody to do so before we get to that Le Mans race a little bit later. I believe, I think we have our third place finisher in our LMP1s ready to talk to us. It looks like Robert Rose will be giving us a bit of a chat here. And maybe we could try and solve the mystery of what happened at the start of the race. Robert, congratulations on a podium in today's event. But it looked like at the beginning you were kind of bleeding places here and there. Did it take you a bit to really come to terms with these complicated cars?
No, the car. Hey, thank you, first of all, for having me. It's been a while since I've managed to put the hours in to be up here, so it feels good. But no, I love this car. It's one of my favorite cars in the iRacing service. I was trying to keep pace with Michael for the first few laps, and he was slowly opening the gap. And I don't know, 4 or 5 laps in, I think I was running a pretty solid second and starting to settle in, and came around, the first turn and started to get the yellow flag that there was a car stopped, and crew chief was telling me go left, go left, go left. I round corner, second corner, and there's a car sitting right in the middle, an RSR sitting right in the middle of the track, and I T-boned him. So I just limped along until the pit window because I didn't want to have to stop twice for the new car, and so I lost places to Leaf and a couple other people, and hit the pit window and put my head down and just tried to make it back up to get to talk to you guys.
Well, you did manage that, and it was an impressive fight back through the field. Will we be seeing you at Le Mans for the next charity event?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't miss it. Running with Marble Motors with Dave Craig and Greg Fullwood, a couple of excellent drivers from my region here, and looking forward to it, without a doubt.
Well, again, congratulations. That was a well-earned podium and a very tough car to drive. Anybody help get you there today?
Yeah, I want to do a special shout out. I've had an especially rough 2022 so far. My dad passed away in January. My mom passed away just last Friday. And I want to dedicate this race to them. My dad, Bob Rose, retired Air Force, my mom, Kathy. Then my family, my wife, Amy, my 2 kids, Sebi and Senna, and anyone else in my clan that's out there in the world watching. So special shout out, Mom and Dad. Love you.
That was third place finisher Robert Rose here today with a very special dedication there. And up next, I believe DJ's caught up with our winner in the LMP1 class, Michael Koholik, making it look like everybody was standing still.
Yeah, indeed, Michael, just an absolutely dominant performance out there today. Were you ever worried at all over the course of this race?
At the very beginning, it seemed like Robert had a lot of pace, but it seemed like after a couple laps, maybe his battery strategy was a little bit off, and once he ran out, it was kind of off to the races.
Well, talk to me a little bit about the strategy here. I mean, a combination of the battery strategy, obviously, and having to make the pit stop. How much pre-planning did you really have to go into it before that?
It was mostly boost. It was mostly practicing the boost map, to be honest. I'm really used to the prototype cars. I raced the LMP2 a lot, so this isn't, I mean, it's got more downforce and it's got a button to give you like 500 extra horsepower, but so I'm pretty used to the car. It was just practicing the boost pattern, because as you're going around the track, there are guides that you can look at for how much to use at what spot, and it was just getting that number down.
Well, you clearly got it down well. Same question that we posed before. Can we see it at Le Mans?
I sure hope so.
Well, Michael, we hope to see you there. And you've been up here on the top step of the podium plenty of times enough. You know how it goes. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for this victory?
Yeah, of course, my mom, Brian, the awesome people at Honorable Heroes, looking out for veterans, and as an active duty member, it's just awesome what these people do. And of course, the guys back at Geo, Alpine Stars, GSI, GoPro, Wave Italy, Homologato, and SimLab.
Well, thank you so much, Michael, and congratulations yet again.
Thank you.
Well, that was Michael Koholik, your winner here in the LMP1 class. And Rachel, I believe you've caught up with the winner from the GTE class.
Yeah, I certainly have. It is the one, the only Chris Pies coming home today with that win. Chris, a phenomenal run out there. In fact, things looked a little bit up for decision towards the end. Did you know that Travis was a different strategy?
Yeah. I mean, I had done some math before the race, and I was figuring out that a no stopper was possible. But after my third lap, I was not hitting my fuel number. And at that point, I just said, well, I guess I'm pitting this race. So I just did qualifying laps knowing I was going to pit at the end. And it worked out. I think even if he wouldn't have pitted, I might have caught him. It would at least been a really fun last lap. But alas, he still had to pit. So I was able to pass him on that.
Yeah, I certainly see that. And of course, a very, very difficult track out there. What was it like racing with these guys in the LMPs on such a confined track as Sebring?
It was a lot of fun. I mean, it kept us honest. Always had to keep looking in my rearview mirror to see when the next LMP was coming, and keep an eye on my spotter, or keep an ear out for my spotter to tell me where they were. But it definitely made it interesting. I love multi-class racing, whether I'm in the slow class or the fast class. It's always fun and lively out there, and kudos to all the LMP drivers. They did a phenomenal job, giving us room, and hopefully we reciprocated it, giving it back to them. So it was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Very glad to hear it. Of course, we have Le Mans coming up after this for the second part of this. You looking forward to Le Mans? Is that something you think you've got a good strategy for?
It'll definitely be interesting. I don't think I've ever driven the Cup car at Le Mans, so that'll be fun. But the Cup car everywhere is fun for me. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a longer race, and I can't wait.
Fantastic. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or thank?
Of course, big thanks to Operation Motorsport. They do a great job, and it's a great charity. So if anybody's listening that is on the fence on whether to donate, definitely donate. They can use all the help they can get. And thank you guys for putting on a fantastic broadcast as always.
Well, thank you for joining us. Christopher Pies coming home today in first place in the Cup class,
which will take us to second in the LMP1s, and that was Leif Peterson, who did have to do a bit of battling during the day, but looked like he was similar to Michael in that, Leif, you seemed to have pace that nobody else could seem to touch, because it was another 16 seconds to the nearest car.
I think I got lucky. There were guys faster. I just bought the car before this session and just set it to automatic mode. so I knew I wouldn't have the pace because I couldn't figure out the buttons to map, and I only had an hour practice. So I drive the LMP2 a lot, so it's not that bit different. It just has a lot more grip up front. And yeah, I just did the best I could with practice and said, I'm just going to run my line and see how it shakes out. And it worked out okay.
It sounds like maybe you should start driving this car a little more then, because that was quite the performance out there. What was it like at Sebring, though? This track is often touted as, one of the bumpiest out there on iRacing. Did that make it difficult in a high downforce car that needs to be nice and planted?
Yeah, there's some sketchy spots, especially coming out of Sunset. If you hit the wrong bump, it just kind of throws you sideways. Luckily, this car with all-wheel drive, it's extremely forgiving. Having driven the LMB2 here a lot and driven here in real life, just not enough seat time. I knew I wouldn't have anything for Michael. I wasn't trying to catch him. I just wanted to do my best and hope it panned out.
Well, how frequently do you find yourself hopping into new cars like this in iRacing? Are you a pretty adventurous guy, or is this something that's a little bit new to you where you tend to stick to the same things?
Well, I used to be that way. I used to only drive GT cars, and I bought a prototype a few years ago, and we've been racing this year. We'll be at Sebring at the end of the year in a little, I'll call it an LMP4. Okay, it's a little prototype. So I've been trying to just drive downforce cars. So I drive the IR4, the F3, the USF 2000, which is closest to my power to weight ratio for my real car. And then this is the first time I drove the 919. I've always wanted to. It's always kind of intimidating, though, with all those buttons.
I feel you. I'm kind of a put me in a simple car thing myself, but congratulations on a podium. And hopefully we'll get to chat with you when we head off to Le Mans soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a great night, guys.
As Leif Peterson in the 913, I believe DJ has caught up with Travis Brody, who finished second in the GTEs.
I have, and Travis, a close battle at the end there with Chris as you kind of came down to the line. Fuel strategy scuppering you just a little bit as it goes. How close were you to making it?
Probably about half a gallon worth is really all I needed on that last lap. I mean, it was basically one lap of fuel was all I needed. Unfortunately, Chris and I were kind of locked together in a little bit of a battle that first half of the race, and we both burned up a little too much fuel, and there was just no way to get it back. So I did everything I could, but I just couldn't make it happen, unfortunately.
Well, talk to me a little bit about what it's like to be running around here with these LMP1s really barreling down on you. I mean, does this really raise the stakes for you?
It does quite a bit. It really depends on where they catch you. I mean, there's obviously like good places for them to catch you and not so great places. Coming out of like 3, 4, 5 kind of area, that first sector, that's always like the sketchiest for me. Because the RSR kind of moves around a lot through there, especially if you hit the curbs. So it's easy for the car to kind of wander around the road. And so you really got to watch your mirror, know they're coming, and just kind of take it easy through there to stay predictable and kind of stay on that side of the road that you're going to be on and let them go around you. So it definitely changes how you take certain corners if you know there's an LMP catching, or if one's just like already on your bumper, and the closing speed's just like insane. I mean, you can look in your mirror, see nothing, go around a quick corner, and then all of a sudden they're just like passing you. So definitely takes a lot of awareness, and it's just mental focus is just like through the roof around here. It's such a busy track.
Well, you clearly pulled it off well here today to come home in second. Travis, is there anybody you'd like to thank for this good run?
Thank you. Yeah, of course, I got to thank all my guys at Tactical Baby Gear. They're always supporting me and everything. And thank you guys at Podium and everyone, the PCA steering committee, Doug, everybody behind the scenes that makes these things happen. And then 100% to Operation Motorsport for putting this event on and helping veterans. We're all about that. So just happy to be involved and do what we can.
Well, thank you, and congratulations yet again, Travis.
Thank you, DJ.
All right, that was Travis Brody, your second finisher in the GTE class, Joe.
Well, this was a fun evening, no doubts, and my first taste of Operation Motorsports and cannot wait to get to see what is involved at Le Mans, where they have a longer chance to be out there on the track and a much bigger track as well to deal with these two very different cars. And we'll see that next time on Operation Motorsports for their benefit race at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, August 14th, live here on Podium Esports. But we also want to give a big thank you to the steering committee at PCA Sim Racing, and a huge thanks to our team tonight, DJ, Rachel, Josh, Cameron, and Dougie. Also, none of this is possible without those behind the scenes at Podium Esports, Ryan Bauer, Gary Sexton, and John Theodore. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing. I'm Joe Peak, and I'll see you on the track.